So this is Melissa Simmons, and my experiment is going to test magnetism in liquids. So magnetism is like an invisible field of attraction of particles. As you can see, the magnetic field is shown here. The electrical current is attracting and repelling the particles to sit in a certain arrangement to show what the physical magnetic field looks like. Magnetic field size depends on the size or power of the magnet. So, can liquids affect the magnetic field? Let's find out. So, this is just kind of my experiment setup. I labeled each of the liquids that I used. In the first container, it's empty. The metal rings inside represent the particles of attraction. And the empty one, and then I also have water, oil, body wash, and syrup, and then I have a magnet here. So with the first experiment, I started with the empty container, and I just moved the magnet around it, and you can see that the particles are very attracted to the magnet. With the water, the particles still were pretty attracted. It was slightly a little different. As you can see, the rings are kind of farther away. With the oil, I noticed with this one, the particles were a lot more attracted to the magnet compared to the water. With the body wash, you can see that there's little to no movement. I tried to move the magnet on the outside of it too to kind of see if they would attract a little better, but they didn't. And then with the syrup, this one was pretty interesting because the rings were a little bit more attracted than the body wash, and I thought that for sure it would be worse than the body wash because I thought syrup was thicker, but still little to no movement. So I did a second video to kind of show the pull of the magnet. So with the empty container, you can see that it's very easily moved. With the water, it kind of struggled there a little bit, but it still moved. I obviously had to move a little slower for it to be pulled. With the oil, with this one, it really didn't want to attract or move at all. It did like a little bit, but not really. And then with the body wash, it didn't move at all. It was still attracting the magnet, but it wasn't moving. And same goes for the syrup. It wasn't moving. It was still sort of attracting the magnet, but it wasn't moving. So in conclusion, as you can see in the first video, the magnetic field can be affected by liquids depending on the thickness. The water and oil still allowed movement of the particles to follow the magnet. In the body wash and syrup, there was little to no movement of the particles even when the magnet was placed directly below them. In the second video, the empty container represented the pull of the magnet and how attracted the particles were with no liquid. Trying to do the same thing even with the water, the pull was affected slightly. Moving to the thicker liquids, it was expected that the container would not move. Liquids do affect magnetism depending on the viscosity of the liquids.